I'm Claire Shaeffer. This 1967 Chanel suit is in my personal collection. I first saw the suit in 1988 when I was doing research at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. Today, I'll show you what I learned about the suit's design and construction. For full disclosure, I am the author of several books, which I've written about haute couture, the Chanel suits, and tailoring. Couture sewing techniques was first published in 2001, the couture cardigan jacket in 2013, and couture tailoring 2021. New and used copies are available from online booksellers. This is one of my favorite Chanel suits. I bought this suit at auction in the early 2000s. This is the auction photo. This suit is from the Fall Winter Collection 1967. This photo is in the book Chanel Collections and Creations by Daniel Bott. It was one of the suits Chanel took to Russia in 1967. My suit is on the far left. The suit is fabricated in a linen tweed. The subtle plaid pattern has vertical cream-colored stripes. The jacket has a stay-in collar with 4 patch pockets and a faux wrap skirt. The edges are piped and top-stitched. The only interfacing is a lightweight plain weave silk on the front panel. You can see the fabric pattern easily here. There is a center back seam and no darts on the back. All of the shaping is done with heat and steam. When the jacket is lining side out, you can easily see the quilting on each side of the cream-colored stripes. The jacket, collar, and sleeve are faced with the blouse fabric. The jacket has the original label. Like most suits, the skirt and blouse have no labels. The quilting threads are silk buttonhole twist on the needle and bobbin. The Bolduc, or tape number, is 33,418. With this number, the House of Chanel can identify the year the suit was made and the original owner. The facings are cut from the aqua stripe on the blouse fabric. The stay-in collar is cut on grain and shaped to hug the neck. The collar and front edges are trimmed with 2 rows of top stitching and piping. The silk buttonhole twist is used for top stitching. The piping is the wrong side of a stripe on the blouse fabric. The heavy brass buttons have lion's heads on them. The piping has a seam at its center. The double buttonholes have a handmade thread buttonhole on the face side of the jacket and a faux bound buttonhole on the facing. Here is a sample I made for the faux bound buttonhole. First, sew 2 welts to the back of the thread buttonhole, then finish the facing or lining in the usual manner. The silk-lined pockets have a slight scoop, so they appear to sag. They are top-stitched and piped like the collar and jacket edges. They are hand-sewn to the jacket inconspicuously, so they appear to float. This detail shows the blouse fabric facings on the front edges and hem. The chain is eased to the jacket hem, and it is slightly crooked. The easing allows the chain to expand when the jacket is worn and the wool stretches. The threads on the chain are hidden next to the adjacent links. The sleeves have a seam at the center, so the vent can be seen from the front when the jacket is worn. The working vent has 3 handmade thread buttonholes. There are 2 rows of top stitching and a piping on the sleeve vents. The top stitching is silk buttonhole twist, and the piping is a narrow stripe cut from the wrong side of the blouse fabric. I turn the sleeve over so you can see the narrow undersleeve. The undersleeve is only 2 inches wide. As you can see, the wrong side of the thread buttonholes is not very attractive. This explains why the faux bound buttonholes are used on the front edges. The silk lining is hand sewn to the facing and sleeve vent. There are a few threads at the pin on the sleeve hem. I marked this with my arrow so you could see where the sleeve underlap was lightly sewn to the front sleeve. This jacket has no darts, but it has a seam beginning at the arrow that extends to the hem. This is a seam for a panel front or princess seam. Unlike a traditional princess seam, both sections are cut on grain at the seam line. The side front is shaped with heat and moisture to duplicate the side front panel on a traditional panel front. I'll show you how to shape the section another day. The skirt has a waistband and faux lap. The waistband and edges have the same piping as the jacket. The hem is finished with 2 rows of top stitching. The lining extends to the hem, but the quilt stitching ends 2.5 inches above the hem. The fabric is cut away on the underskirt to remove excess bulk. There is a row of cross stitches at the center of the waistband. Actually, there are 2 rows, one on top of the other, since the second band was sewn on later. The skirt on the left was put on the dress form with the cross stitches at center front. The cross stitches on the skirt on the right were ignored when the skirt was put on. The skirt is quilted like the jacket. The edges on the underlayer are finished with hand overcasting. The skirt has a 7-inch zipper on the left hip. The waistband is faced with grosgrain or petersham. The waistband fastens with coat hooks. The blouse is a plain knit fabric with cream, aqua, and gray stripes. Chanel frequently rearranged the fabric pattern by cutting it apart and sewing it back together for a more interesting design. On this blouse, there is a seam between the 2 gray stripes, so the stripe at the bottom would be cream instead of aqua. This close-up of the blouse fabric shows a narrow gold stripe between the whiter stripes. The first gray stripe on the wrong side is used for the pipings on the suit. The seams are overcast by hand. The back has a lap zipper at the center. The zipper placket was machine stitched 1/2 inch from the edge before the zipper was set in by hand. The zipper is sewn with running stitches close to the zipper teeth. The edges of the zipper tape are sewn to the seam allowances with diagonal stitches to secure the zipper. The back has a small yoke to continue the white stripes to the neck and shoulders. The neckline is finished with the facing cut from a white stripe. The lingerie guards are made of silk. The guard is a little longer than the seam, so the shoulder seams will not dip when the blouse is worn. Did you enjoy examining this suit today? Would you like to look at another Chanel in my collection? Which is your favorite? Or would you prefer another evening gown by Charles Frederick Worth or a tailored jacket? I'm Claire Shaeffer. Thank you for joining me today.